Hello everyone, I'm TheApacheKing and welcome back to another video. In this video I'm going to be doing a review of Broken Sword 5 The Serpent's Curse. This is going to be my first in-depth review and a quick overview of the trophies. I've done reviews in the past but they've never been in-depth, and I'm going to try and be as in-depth as possible. And the reason I'm doing this, even though it's an old game, is because I've been playing it recently and completed it, and I think that it's that good that I think it should get more praise and more people should play it. So in this first in-depth review, I'm going to be going through each aspects of the game. So story, gameplay, graphics, music, trophies, and then a final verdict. So Broken Sword 5 was developed by Revolution Software for Microsoft Windows, OS X, Linux, PlayStation Vita, Android and iOS, Xbox One, and PS4. So I'm going to be focusing on the PS4 version of Broken Sword 5. So just keep in mind when I'm going over the bad points of this game, they may not apply to all versions of Broken Sword 5. So just keep that in mind. If you've never heard of Broken Sword before, like the Broken Sword series, I'll leave a link in the description to a Steam complete pack where you can buy all of the Broken Sword games for, I believe it's like €30. So that's similar in dollars and pounds. So yeah, it's a pretty good deal if you ask me, and yeah, that'll be in the description if you're interested, if you want to start all the way from the beginning with the first Broken Sword. This review may include minor spoilers, but I tried to make this as spoiler free as possible. And also the gameplay you'll see in the background is mostly from the beginning of the game to avoid spoilers. But without any further ado, let's get straight into it with the story. So Broken Sword is your typical investigation point and click type of game. So it's set in Paris. The main characters are George Stobart, who is American, and Nico Calais. I'm not sure whether I'm pronouncing her name correctly because she's French, so the English translation may be a bit different. So basically, the whole plot of the game is at the very beginning, Henri dies at the art gallery, and George and Nico are, trying to find clues as to who's behind the murder and who's behind stealing the painting, the Le Madicio painting. So basically throughout the story you're traveling around Paris, and then you go to some other countries as well looking to see who the main killer is, and you get all these different leads going to all these different places and these different people, and yeah, it basically spans throughout the whole game, and then at the end of the game you finally find out who was behind it all. The story does take a little while to get into because it's fairly slow paced at the beginning. So for example, when I first downloaded it and booted it up, it seemed interesting but not straight away, and I just gave it some time. And then recently, last week in fact, at the time of making this video, I finally got into it and I really enjoyed it, and every time I wanted to play games, I just wanted to play Broken Sword 5. Note that at the beginning of the game it does take a little while to get into, but then once you're into it, you don't really want to stop playing. You just want to keep playing and see what happens next, because it's a very good story overall. Now in terms of length, this game can be beaten in 6 hours if you're basically rushing through and only concentrating on doing the main stuff. But for me, I interacted with pretty much everything and collected everything in that, and it took me roughly 10 hours. So it depends on how you want to play the game. If you just want to quickly go through it as quickly as possible, or if you want to chill out and just enjoy the game properly and relax, then yeah, it'll take you about 10 hours. There's also some returning characters from previous Broken Sword games. So yeah, there's about 6, I believe, 5 or 6. I'm not going to spoil who they are. You may know from the gameplay and maybe any trailers you've seen or whatever, but when you play through the game, you meet up with previous characters. There's also some funny parts which I'll play just now.
My God! Nico!
What is it?
This telescope! It's free! Is that the door?
Thank God. I was getting worried we'd be trapped here, just the two of us forever.
There could have been worse ways of being trapped forever.
It is the door. Come on, Georges.
Poor guy.
And that's not all the funny parts, that's just a couple, but there are a few other funny parts in the game which makes it more refreshing rather than the same, you know, seriousness all the time. There's a bit of humor in it, which is very nice. So overall, the story is interesting and it keeps you hooked once you get into it properly. It just takes a little while at the beginning to get into. Graphics. So for the graphics, the scenery is hand-drawn by the look of it, where it's got like a hand-drawn style to it, and then the only 3D animated stuff are on some objects and the characters, and they blend in very well, because when the characters are standing still, they actually look like part of the scenery. The way they did the 3D animation, they really did a good job of blending in the characters very well. And it just looks all natural, like it doesn't look out of place, you know, 3D characters in a 2D background. You know, if you think about it, you might think that, oh, that would look a bit odd, wouldn't it? But, you know, the way they did it in Broken Sword 5, it's done really well. Gameplay. So for gameplay, it's your typical point and click. You can combine, examine, and interact with objects and people. There are, however, a few glitches I came across, at least on the PS4 version, in terms of the dialogue. Quite often, you know, a character would say something and then the response from another character would take a few seconds to actually play. And I'm not sure whether that's just a glitch with the PS4 version, or, you know, it was like a mistake in the coding or whatever when they were developing the game. But yeah, that's there. It's a little bit annoying because it can be up to 5 seconds of silence and you're wondering, you know, is the game broken or what? There was also a couple of times when I was moving George that he went through Nico and I think another character as well. So yeah, that was only a few times. It's not really annoying, but you know, it's still a bug. So yeah, that's only a minor though, so that's not too much of a problem, but it still would be nice if it wasn't there, because the game overall is fairly bug free. There's only a few bugs and glitches. The other bug I was towards the end of the game, where you're interacting with this goat and you have to throw something for it to eat, but the goat doesn't actually follow it, and and you know, George and the goat is just standing there, and you know, it's just like forever. I waited there for a couple of minutes, you know, a good few seconds, waiting to see if anything would happen, and it wouldn't. Even reloading the save didn't fix it. I had to restart my PS4 completely, and then it fixed it. But again, that's just a minor annoyance that can be fixed easily, so it's not too bad. It's not like I was completely blocked from completing the game at all. So there's at least there's that. Maybe they can fix it in a future update or something. That'd be kind of cool. The other thing I'd like to say about gameplay is that there isn't any loading screens, which is really cool, because when you first load up the game, there is a loading screen just before the main menu, and then when you get to main menu, that's it. You press on new game or you press continue. It just goes black for like a second, and then you're into the game instantly. It's really cool how quickly you can get into the game. It's awesome. So yeah, there's no long loading screens or anything like that. Music. So for the music, I think it suits the game very well. And you know, when it's coming to a dramatic part, so if they find out another lead of who could have killed Henri, it gets more dramatic just as, you know, they find out. So yeah, it's timed very well, and the actual music is very well made and well suited towards this game and the whole atmosphere, really. Trophies. So I'll quickly go over the trophies. I'll just say that they're very easy. There is a platinum that you can do in one playthrough using a guide, and I'll link that guide, the guide that I use, in the description. So yeah, you can either have a spoiler-free playthrough the first time you play, and then, you know, worry about the trophies the next time you play through it. But there's only, I believe, 8 missable trophies, or 8 or 9, so they're out of 34 trophies, including the platinum. You'll have most of them, even if you don't try to go for the missable ones, and you'll most likely get at least some of the missable ones when you're playing through the game anyway. If you're interacting with everything, then yeah, you'll most likely get the platinum even without the guide. So yeah. Verdict. So as for the verdict, it's a very good game, very well made game overall. Everything works the way you expect, apart from the few glitches I said. It's fun, it's interesting, it's got great characters, great voice acting. An overall very good game. So I give this game a 9 out of 10. The reason I take, 1 point from the 10 is because of the glitches and some of the, the dialogue issues. If they weren't there, I'll give this game a solid 10. For what this game is, it does it very, very well. I've played a few point and clicks in the past and they've just been not that great, to be honest. Like the voice acting was bad and, it's just not that great. But in this, voice acting is fantastic. For what this game is, like I said, it does it very, very well. So that's why it gets 9 out of 10. So that's it for this video. Thanks very much for watching. Please leave a like on the video if you enjoyed, because this review took a very long time to make. So I would really appreciate it if you could just at least give it a like. So yeah, thanks very much for watching and I'll see you in my next video.